Hey everyone. So lately, you've been feeling kind of stuck,
Yeah.
wondering about your potential and if leadership is something you're really even cut out for.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to dive into that today
Yeah.
using all the materials that you sent us about it. And we're going to unpack a pretty bold idea,
Right.
a philosophy that says that everyone, yes, even you, were created to lead.
It's really interesting, the perspective that it offers,
Yeah.
because it challenges how we typically think about leadership, right?
Right.
Our culture kind of pushes this idea that leadership is reserved for a select few,
Oh, yeah.
the CEOs and the politicians, the folks at the top. But this philosophy really flips that notion on its head.
It does. It
Yeah.
says it's not about titles. It's
Yeah.
not about position. It's something much deeper.
Yeah.
The source material even says, trapped inside every follower is a hidden leader. It's
Mhm.
like we've all got this potential just waiting to be unlocked.
And I think that resonates with what you've been feeling, right?
Yeah.
That stuckness that you've been experiencing because you've bought into this idea
Mm.
that leadership isn't for you.
Yeah,
But what if it is?
right.
What if it's not about being at the front of a massive crowd,
Yeah,
but about making a real difference in the lives of those around you?
I like that.
Yeah.
That actually brings us to a really intriguing point that the source material makes about Jesus
Okay.
and how his style of leadership really wasn't about attracting these giant crowds.
Yeah.
He focused on a small, dedicated group of followers.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's such a contrast to how we think about leadership today.
right,
We always think bigger is better,
right.
but maybe true leadership is about depth, not just breadth.
Yeah. And it goes on to say that Jesus, was actually pretty skeptical of crowds. He saw them as often seeking these quick fixes or miracles, not real lasting change.
So that makes me wonder, what are you looking for? Easy answers.
Right.
Or are you looking for something deeper? Maybe a transformation that goes beyond those surface level solutions.
Yeah, that's a really great question.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of transformation, of going deeper, it ties back to a key concept from the source,
Okay.
self-discovery.
Right.
There's this really powerful line that stuck with me. I came to introduce you to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that gets to the heart of what this whole philosophy is about.
I think so too.
True leadership isn't about mimicking someone else.
Right.
It's about discovering who you are, what makes you unique, and how those unique qualities can make a difference.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's about recognizing the strengths and the gifts within you.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is, the source material says it's not just about some innate ability either.
Right.
It says leadership is 80% mindset
Wow.
and only 20% skill.
See, now that's where things get really interesting.
Right.
Because you can learn skills, you can develop them over time.
Yeah.
But your mindset, your attitude, your belief in yourself, that's the foundation.
Right. So if you don't believe you can lead, it doesn't really matter how many skills you have, does it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That mindset shapes how you see the world,
Huh?
how you approach challenges, and ultimately what actions you take. It's
Yeah.
like having all the ingredients for a cake, but not believing you can bake.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So we've got this idea that everyone can be a leader, that it's about self-discovery,
Right.
and that mindset is crucial. But what does that actually look like in practice? How do we
Right.
distinguish between just managing things and actually leading?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the source material is very clear about the difference.
Okay.
Managing is about maintaining the status quo,
Okay.
keeping things running smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Leading, on the other hand, is about creating change,
Okay.
about moving things forward in a new direction.
So I could be really good at managing my daily tasks,
Right.
but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm leading.
Right. And thinking about your own life.
Right.
Where are you just maintaining things?
Yeah.
And where could you step up and lead real change?
Uh-huh.
It could be at work, in your relationships, even in your personal growth.
Uh-huh.
It's about recognizing those opportunities to make a real difference.
I like that.
Yeah.
And to really illustrate that point, the source uses a powerful parable
Okay.
about an army of sheep led by a lion being able to defeat an army of lions led by a sheep.
Wow. Think about that imagery.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you don't feel like the strongest or the most experienced.
Right.
It's that lion-like mindset, that belief in yourself that can truly make all the difference.
So even if you're surrounded by people who seem like more qualified, it's your attitude, your inner drive that
Yeah.
can make you a powerful leader.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And, the source goes on to use this clever analogy
Okay.
to drive that point home.
Okay.
Imagine buying a car that can go 180 miles per hour, but you're restricted to driving much slower.
Right. Because of speed limits.
Exactly, because of speed limits.
Yeah.
So it's like we have all this potential, but we're holding ourselves back.
Yeah.
No.
And what are those speed limits in our own lives?
That's the question, right?
Yeah. What are those self-imposed restrictions
Yeah.
that are preventing us from unleashing our full potential?
That's where the real excitement lies.
Right.
In discovering just how much more we can achieve
Right.
when we step outside of our comfort zones
Yeah.
and embrace that power within us.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about how leadership isn't limited to a select few,
Mm-hmm.
how self-discovery is key, and how mindset plays a huge role. But where does it all lead?
Right.
Like, what's the ultimate purpose of tapping into this leadership potential?
And that's where the source material gets really powerful.
Okay.
It says leadership isn't about personal gain or climbing the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
It's about serving the gift you were given
Oh, wow.
to make a difference in the world.
So it's not about you. Right.
It's about using your unique abilities to make a positive impact on others.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that brings us to a really important question for you.
Okay.
What is that unique gift within you?
Yeah.
And what would it look like to truly step into your power
Right.
and serve that gift
Wow.
to make a positive impact on the world around you?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That question about our unique gifts
Mm-hmm.
really has me thinking.
Yeah.
Like, how do we even begin to uncover those gifts,
Right.
those things that make us uniquely qualified to lead?
Well, the source material uses some really interesting examples from history
Okay.
to illustrate this process of self-discovery.
Okay.
Think about Moses, for instance.
Okay.
He was just a shepherd tending his flocks
Right.
when he encountered God.
Yeah.
And what did God tell him?
I don't know.
That he was destined to lead his people out of slavery.
Wow.
Pretty big calling, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But Moses didn't exactly jump at the chance, did he?
No, he didn't. He doubted himself. Couldn't see himself as anything more than just a simple shepherd.
Right. He had that internal resistance almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like he had this internal resistance to stepping into that leadership role.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we see time and time again.
Right.
The source also mentions Gideon,
Yeah.
who was literally hiding
Right.
when he was called to be a mighty man of valor.
Oh, wow.
So we often struggle to see ourselves the way others might see us,
Right.
especially when it comes to our own potential.
Yeah. And it makes me think about those times when I've held myself back.
Yeah.
Not because I lacked the skills,
Mhm.
but because I just didn't believe I was capable.
Right.
Like there's this fear of stepping outside my comfort zone
Yeah.
and embracing the unknown.
The source actually talks about fear as a major obstacle to leadership.
Oh, interesting.
It says that when we limit ourselves, when we play small,
Mm-hmm.
we're essentially living in a state of fear.
Is it like fear of failure, fear of judgment?
Could be any number of things.
Right.
But, the source suggests that sometimes we're even afraid of ourselves. Wow. Afraid of what we might accomplish
Right.
if we truly believed in our potential.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
It's like we're holding ourselves back from our own greatness.
Mm-hmm.
But if leadership is about more than just like individual achievement,
Right.
if it's about serving a greater purpose,
Yeah.
how do we move past that fear and step into that role?
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
A car can't function without all of its parts working together.
Right.
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 You've got the engine, the transmission, the battery,
Yeah.
even the smallest wires,
Yeah.
all playing a critical role.
Right.
The source uses this analogy to show that in a community, in a team,
Yeah.
everyone has something valuable to contribute.
So it's not about comparing ourselves to others or
Well-
trying to be the biggest or the best.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing that we all have a part to play, even if it seems small.
Exactly. And sometimes even a seemingly insignificant part
Mm.
can have a huge impact.
Right.
The source points out that even a tiny wire can shut down an entire car
Wow.
if it malfunctions.
Right.
Similarly, a seemingly small act of courage or leadership can spark a chain reaction
Wow.
and create massive change.
So even those who see themselves as followers have the potential to lead.
Absolutely. It's about shifting our perspective,
Yeah.
from a hierarchical view of leadership,
Okay.
where there are those who lead and those who follow,
Yeah.
to a more collaborative model,
Right.
where everyone is empowered to contribute their unique strengths and talents.
Makes a lot of sense.
Right.
It's not about titles. It's not about positions. It's about recognizing we all have something to offer.
Yeah,
And when we come together, we can achieve incredible things.
absolutely.
But how do we figure out what our unique contributions should be?
Right.
Like, how do we know what we're meant to do?
Well, the source makes a distinction between our job and our work. Our job is what we do to earn a living.
Right.
But our work is something deeper.
Okay.
It's our calling.
Right.
The thing that sets our souls on fire.
So it's about aligning our actions with our passions, with those things that give us a sense of purpose.
Exactly. And when we find that alignment,
Yeah.
when we're doing work that feels meaningful,
Yeah.
that's when we truly step into our leadership potential.
Right. I like that.
Think of Rosa Parks, for example.
Oh, the woman who refused to give up her seat on the bus.
Yes, her simple act of courage,
Wow.
of refusing to tolerate injustice,
Right.
sparked a movement
Yeah.
and helped change the course of history.
That's a powerful example of how one person can make a difference.
Absolutely.
But what about those of us who don't feel like we have that kind of courage?
Yeah.
That willingness to stand up and fight for what we believe in.
Well, the source makes an interesting point about anger
Okay.
being a catalyst for change.
Yeah.
True leaders are often driven by a righteous anger,
Right.
a sense of outrage at the injustices they see in the world.
Hmm.
It's that fire in their bellies
Yeah.
that fuels their determination to make a difference.
So it's okay to be angry about things that are wrong?
Yeah,
To let that anger motivate us to take action?
absolutely.
Wow.
It's about channeling that anger into positive action,
Right.
into making a difference in the world.
Yeah.
And it's not just about external change.
Right.
It's about internal change as well.
Okay.
The source talks about the difference between being delivered and being free.
Okay.
We might be delivered from a bad situation,
Yeah.
but true freedom comes from liberating our minds from those limiting beliefs
Right.
that hold us back.
It's like we have to break free from our own internal prisons before we can truly lead ourselves and others.
Exactly. True freedom is an ongoing process, a
Right.
journey of self-discovery and liberation.
I like that.
It's about recognizing the power of our thoughts
Right.
to shape our reality.
Yeah. And choosing to think in ways that empower us.
Yeah.
To create the life we desire.
Right.
It's about recognizing our potential and not letting fear hold us back.
Right.
It's about finding that unique gift within us
Yeah.
and using it to make a positive impact on the world.
It's amazing to think about how true freedom is like this ongoing process.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that analogy from the
Right.
source material about
Yeah.
buying a car that can go, much faster than we're usually allowed to drive.
Yeah, that's a great example of
Right.
how we often limit ourselves.
Right.
It's like we have this incredible potential,
Mhm.
but we're kind of holding back, afraid to push the limits.
It's like we're driving with the parking brake on.
Exactly.
We're capable of so much more, but something is stopping us from really hitting the gas.
And the source material points out that these limitations aren't just physical, like
Yeah.
speed limits on a highway.
Right. They're also mental and emotional.
Okay.
We have these internal speed limits that keep us from unleashing our full leadership potential.
So it's not just about like external factors holding us back. It's our own beliefs, our mindsets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the source challenges us to question those internal speed limits.
Okay.
Why are we holding ourselves back?
Right.
What would happen if we dared to push past those self-imposed restrictions?
What if we could like experience that feeling of driving on the Autobahn in Germany
Yeah.
where there are no speed limits?
Exactly.
Imagine like the exhilaration,
Right.
the freedom of really opening up and seeing what's possible.
Yeah, the source uses that example
Right.
to illustrate what it feels like
Yeah.
to break free from limitations and step into our full potential.
Wow.
It's about letting go of fear and embracing the unknown.
It's almost like we have to retrain our minds to think bigger,
Right.
bolder, and really believe in our capacity to achieve those like great things.
And here's a really interesting point.
Oh, yeah.
From the source,
Okay.
the greatest leaders
Yeah.
are often those who are willing to serve,
Right.
not to be served.
Hmm.
It's a different way of thinking about leadership.
I like that.
Right.
It's not about power or control,
Exactly.
but it's about using our gifts and talents to make a positive impact, to contribute something meaningful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The source reminds us
Yeah.
that true leadership is about humility, service, and a deep commitment to making a difference.
Right.
It's about focusing on others, not ourselves.
It makes me think of that quote, the best leaders are those who lead by example.
Yes.
It's not about barking orders, but about inspiring others through our own action,
Right.
our dedication.
And it's not about waiting for someone to give us permission to lead.
Right.
We have that power
Right.
to step into that role right now, regardless of our circumstances.
Oh.
It's about recognizing that leadership potential within each of us
Yeah.
and having the courage to act on it.
So I think after diving deep into all these incredible insights,
Yeah.
the key takeaway for you, for all of you out there, is this. You are a leader, even if you haven't fully realized it yet.
Right.
That potential is there within you, waiting to be unleashed.
It's time to break free from those self-imposed limitations,
Yeah.
to embrace those unique gifts that you possess,
Right.
and step into the role that you were born to play.
Wow.
The world needs your leadership,
Right.
your passion, your creativity, your unique perspective.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's time to step on the gas, break those internal speed limits,
Mhm.
and see what amazing things you can accomplish when you tap into that power within you.
So what will you do with this newfound knowledge?
Yeah.
What steps will you take today
Right.
to unlock your leadership potential and make a positive impact on the world around you?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Keep the conversation going on our social media channels.
Yeah.
And until next time, keep diving deep.
Absolutely.